This time, it is my honor to welcome in a really important session that we're excited to highlight today, building a more diverse and inclusive pipeline with National 4-H. They have a tremendous program that we're excited to share today. And I'm also very excited because we get to hear the voices not only of some of 4-H's leadership, but also, most importantly, we get to hear youth voices as well today. So I will start off by introducing Heather Elliot, the Vice President of Development for National 4-H, and she'll welcome in the rest of the session. Heather, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you, Kristen. We're so glad to be here and so glad to be a part of Together We Grow. I do wish we were in person, but glad to be here. And of course, having our young people speak. I won't say too much because they are really the stars of the show, but appreciate the opportunity to just introduce the True Leaders in Equity program. If you're familiar with 4-H, you probably understand that really what we're doing is trying to provide opportunity for all young people. That is at the core of our purpose. And as we think about 4-H being one of those few organizations that is all the way down to every last milepost in every county across America, we really see it as our onus to ensure that every young person has opportunity. And that means making sure that 4-H has greater diversity, equity, and inclusion in our program today, but also how we create young people that are change agents out in the community every day in the work that they do, and will be change agents as a workforce that'll be coming up through the pipeline very shortly, so that you have ambassadors of DEI in your workforce, creating more inclusive environment. So we're excited to tell you a little bit more about True Leaders in Equity, which is a program that was made possible thanks to support from Robert Wood Johnson Foundation and the W.K. Kellogg Foundation. We have huge ambition for scaling this program across the country and reaching over 1,000 communities in the next couple of years. We hope to have CHS as our partner in doing that, and would love to welcome more of you in joining this great coalition that is providing DEI change agents out in communities across the country. But to hear just a little bit more about it, I want to introduce my fabulous colleague, Andrea Lyons, who is really squarely in the nuts and bolts of making sure this program is executing and delivering for our young people and for our communities. So over to you, Andrea.
Thank you, Heather. And I'm going to need for you to share slides for me because I'm not able to share. Sorry, everyone. While Heather is doing that, I will introduce myself. And first of all, thank you all so much for this awesome opportunity. As Heather mentioned, my name is Andrea Lyons, and I am the Director of Extension Engagement and Equity Inclusion at National 4-H Council. And so today I'm going to spend just a few moments telling you about a wonderful program that I've had the privilege of working on, and that is our True Leaders in Equity Institute. And Heather, if you can go to the next slide, please. But before I walk you all through the Institute, I'd like to spend a few moments sharing with you all what our youth are saying. So more than ever, our youth are demanding more from adults and from the communities in which they live. They want to close the gap and are demanding more tools, more resources, and more opportunity to succeed. One thing we've learned about our youth over the past 18 months or so is that our nation's youth crave connection and interaction with friends and youth. And thirdly, there's a high expectation that our communities and schools will improve access in the quality of education that they provide. Next slide, please. To meet some of these outlined challenges, 3 years ago, National 4-H Council developed the True Leaders in Equity Institute as a partnership between youth and adults to leverage their unique strengths to impact their communities and the world, and to explore these challenges through the lens of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Prior to the Institute, youth determine a challenge within their community that they would like to solve. While crafting solutions, youth in teams of 2 to 3 attend the actual Institute. And during that in-person or virtual formatted conference, attendees experience keynote addresses from DE&I industry leaders. They attend track sessions where they explore a broad range of solution-oriented content. They experience peer-to-peer led workshops and they present their challenge in what we call Dolphin Tank. And it is fashioned after the hit TV show Shark Tank. But here, the True Leaders in Equity Institute leaders are encouraged to use their voices, talent, and creativity for substantial change in their communities where they live and where they serve. Next slide, please. The success of the program has been a very good one for us. On this slide, you will see that when surveyed, youth attendees give the Institute pretty high marks. You will also see the reach of the program. We're proud to say that in the course of these 3 years, we've touched over 27 states and Puerto Rico, and we've had a total of 55 youth teams trained as change agents within the 4-H system. Next slide, please. As I pass this presentation over to our youth, I'd like to leave you with this quote. In 4-H, we believe every child should have an equal opportunity to succeed, and every child should have the skills they need to make a difference in the world. And with that, I'll turn it over to 2 of our outstanding youth, both of which have attended and experienced True Leaders in Equity. Saniia and Mayyadah, take it away. I think you're on mute. I think you both are on mute.
Good afternoon. I'm Sanaya Hines. I'm 17 years old and I'm currently a senior applying to colleges right now, so it's pretty hectic. And I've been in 4-H for a little bit over 5 years now. My 4-H story pretty much began with me in inner city downtown, and a leader that I knew by the name of Miss Yolanda, she wanted to start a 4-H group, and I was so excited to be part of it. I didn't know what was going on, but I joined. And since then, I've been a part of so many activities and opportunities. It started with camps, simple things like Halloween carnivals and aviation camps. And while I was learning so much from these experiences and gaining so much knowledge, I couldn't help but notice that I was the only youth of color in attendance. And it didn't seem important to me until I attended the True Leaders in Equity Institute, where I was asked to take the time to notice something that I wanted to change within my community or within my state. And so at the True Leaders in Equity Institute, I listened to presentations from people, and I listened to educational sessions about how to talk about these issues and how to approach these topics. And at the time, I didn't know their importance and I didn't understand why I was there. I thought they chose wrongly. I got back home and I was like, well, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with that. But I realized that I had a privilege after being able to attend the True Leaders in Equity Institute and being a youth of color in 4-H, I could use my voice in order to get more Black youth and youth of color within 4-H and spread my face around to make other youth more comfortable and feel more welcome within the program. So that's exactly where I started. I started with representation. It started as simple as going to scholarship luncheons and breakfasts, and then going to the Indie Youth Food Challenge, which is the 4-H cooking competition, and winning that as the senior division, really just showing my face everywhere and being representation for Black youth within and outside of the program so that they understand what 4-H looks like and knows that it's more than what so they can see the representation and they can be inspired to join and know that we're welcoming them with open arms. So my project has had quite a bit of an impact, specifically in my state, Indiana. There has been an increase in numbers of youth of color in participation, but there also has been new equity training enforced for certain 4-H programs that are being held within my state, and training that's happening for the leaders of those events, and it's pretty awesome actually. I think one of my favorite moments of my project has to be when I talked to my 4-H state leader, Dr. Casey, and it was around last May when Black Lives Matter was happening big time, and I realized that a statement hadn't been released about it. A statement hadn't been released about Black Lives Matter. And at the time, it angered me. And this was the first time that like something 4-H has done has angered me, because usually I'm like a proud supporter. I'm very like avid about like my love for 4-H, but this was the first time that I was upset, because I take a lot of my time to spread information about 4-H and to share about 4-H and support 4-H, and I was upset that they hadn't done the same for me. So I sent an email to Dr. Casey, and he was very nice, and we had a meeting, and I told him about how I was upset and how I refused to participate in any 4-H activities until a formal statement was released talking about the support of the Black community. And shortly after that, a statement was released, and I think that was my favorite moment about my project. Like, it didn't have to do with reaching out to youth of color in my community really, but it was the first time that I actually, instead of just talking at people and trying to educate people, I actually took a stand, and I like made change myself instead of like waiting for other people to do it by like educating them. So I think that was like my favorite moment. Now, going on from my project and what I've done, I've spoken around different states on Zoom, obviously, but I've spoken at different events and social justice events and keynote speaking and with officials from different states. And after doing so, I'm now going to take my project, and I'm planning an event that I already have a grant for and volunteers for, an interactive event that will be held in different places of the state that house marginalized communities that 4-H hasn't previously reached, really in order to overall change what 4-H looks like and overall change the narrative of 4-H. This also starts with 4-Hers conversations. In order to start change in 4-H, it starts with inclusion. There's a quote by Verna Myers that says, "Diversity is being invited to the party, but inclusion is being asked to dance." So yes, we have, I've been working to get these youth of color invited to the party, and they're here and they want to be in 4-H, but now it's our job as 4-Hers and as 4-H leaders and 4-H staff to ask them to dance, to know the right ways to talk in order to make them feel welcome, to make them want to stay, like regardless of if they have projects or not, make them know that this is their place. So yes, this also starts with staff and having staff of color in order to have different perspectives. An example of when I've experienced having staff of color and the perspective that it's affected me with is over the summer. I know we're going to hear from Dr. Olga Golden Tiller later. I actually worked with her over the summer with Tuskegee University in the FNR Trek program, and there were Black speakers and professors, and that really changed my perspectives, and their perspectives made it so that I was comfortable, and I was able to comfortably learn the entire summer to hear from people who were in my position and had done so much, and that could do so much in the 4-H program as well. Just having people of color and having them and their perspectives make it comfortable for everyone. So yes, by changing the image of 4-H, I feel like overall we can change the image of agriculture. Thank you.
It was so great.